Have you ever thought about starting your own podcast? When I was trying to get this podcast off the ground, I had a lot of questions. How do I record an episode? How do I get my show into all the apps people like to listen? How do I make money from my podcast? Well, the answer to every one of these questions is really simple. Anchor. Anchor is a one-stop shop for recording, hosting, and distributing your podcast. Best of all, it's 100% free and ridiculously easy to use. And now, Anchor can match you with great sponsors who want to advertise on your podcast. That means you can get paid to podcast right away. In fact, that's what I'm doing right now by reading this ad. When I started using Anchor to do my podcast, it was so extremely easy that I haven't even bothered to look for another app to use. I love this app. It's the only one I deal with, the only one I even recommend, period. I recommend you get on there ASAP. If you want to start a podcast, this is definitely the place to go. It's easy. You can drive around and record. You can sit in your basement and record. You can do it anywhere. It's fantastic. So if you've always wanted to start a podcast, make money doing it, go to anchor.fm/start, anchor.fm/start to join me and the diverse community of podcasters already using Anchor. That's anchor.fm/start. I can't wait to hear your podcast. What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? It is Adam Rich from the Really Rich Podcast, and this is the first episode. I know I've been slacking. I know I've been taking a little too much time off work, but just getting ready to start old season 3. And I guess you can't really tell too much as every show. There is no real banger that kicks off season 3, but it is the first episode of 2020, first episode of a brand new effing decade. And I'm super excited about it, man. I've taken a little extra time off. I've spent some time with the family. Everything was good. I had my daughter's first birthday, Christmas, New Year, all that stuff. So just getting everything kind of settled and rethinking how I want to do this next season. And really, I want to emphasize 2020 to be the year I really start pounding not only patience in everyone's lives, but eliminating judgment, not only from people judging you and listening to it and, building up the, what it takes to ignore all the judgment, but also trying to help you learn to stop judging other people as well. I talk a lot about ignoring other people's judgment of you, but I don't really talk a whole lot about people learning to just stop judging people in general. Because listen, it doesn't mean that you can't have an opinion about what somebody does. It doesn't mean that you can't think that you know somebody based on their actions. All it means is, what I really mean when I say to stop judging people, I just mean to stop jumping to conclusions to assume that you know the whole story about what anybody's going through. Because the bottom line is every single person on the face of the planet is a little bit different in some way. Like, nobody is identical. Nobody is exactly the same as another human being. Not now, not throughout any time in history. Nobody is identical. So that being said, you have to get to the bottom of why are people different in the first place? Why are you judging people? And that's kind of what I wanted to start off with today anyway. But really, I want to start beating that drum. I want to help more people throughout this whole year, throughout this whole effing decade, to just get rid of. I want to streamline your life to where we're not to nobody. So nobody is wasting time on things in their life that don't really matter, or things that are actually hurting them that aren't even really important in your life. That's one of the big ones, is obviously judgment from other people, opinions of other people. When people are saying mean things and trolling you on social media, or talking bad about you at school or at work or in your family or anywhere, when people are saying bad things about you, there's two major reasons for why that's happening. Either A, you've done something really awful in their mind to them, towards them or somebody they care about, and that's just their way of retaliating, is to talk bad about you. Or the other big one is if they're jealous of what you're doing. If somebody's jealous that you are moving forward in your life, or if you're making moves in your life that are good for you or beneficial, if you're rising out of the shit show that they're consistently stuck in, they don't like. A lot of people do not like seeing that. A lot of people are miserable and don't want to see other people succeeding when they're failing. You know, think about this. There's a lot of people, you probably know friends, family members, that they're very good to your face. They're very friendly. They're very supportive. They got your back. They always want good things for you. But then the second that something good happens to you and it doesn't happen also to them, behind your back, they're saying negative things. They're rooting against you. They're hoping that you fail. They don't want to see you move on. And there's a lot of reasons for this. Listen, even good friends and good, close people that care about you sometimes have your worst intentions at heart. And the reason for it is not always just because they're jealous or because they don't like you. It's just because they know that if you go on and you succeed and you move on without them, that they're going to be stuck without you. And that's hard for people. You know, it's hard for when listen, when I was in high school, I had friends that I till this day, I still care about them, but we hung out all the time. They were like these two guys that were like my brothers. I've talked about this before in other podcasts and other people. And they were just not going in the direction that I wanted to go in for myself. And you have two options. You either piss away your life trying to keep your friends happy, or you make that decision within yourself and you say, look, I got to move forward. This is what I need to do to move forward. If these people aren't coming with me, I got to leave them behind. No matter how much you care about them. Sometimes leaving these people behind is the best thing you can do for them, because sometimes it forces these people to kind of wake up for their own life. And so, I mean, look, you're not necessarily leaving them for some altruistic reason of wanting to better their lives. Do it for you. And I'm not saying it I'm not trying to convince people that they should be selfish or anything. But the bottom line is this. If you do all these things that you don't want to do to make other people happy, the only one that's going to be left to be miserable is you. So first and foremost, you got to make sure that you're happy if you want to take care of others, if you want to make other people happy. The only reason why I push happiness and positivity, probably to a fucking corny level, the only reason I push it so much is because it bleeds out of me. I am so happy in life. And that doesn't mean every second of every day. It doesn't mean that I don't have moments of anger and sadness or, feeling like not in the best mood. I look at it like this. I am literally happy every single day. I'm not happy every minute. You know what I mean? Like I'm not happy all day, but I am happy every day. Like every day I wake up, I'm extremely happy. I'm extremely grateful. I love my life. I wake up and I realize the things that I have in my life that make me happy. And you can't be miserable while thinking about what makes you happy. It's not possible. You can't be happy and miserable at the exact same time. So what I found is start your day by thinking about what it is that makes you happy, what it is that you appreciate about your life. What, if you have to, fucking write it down or make a list or record it or something, but actively put it into your eyesight, into your focus, into your mindset. Just remember the wonderful positives that you do have in your life, because we all have something. Some of us may not have as many positives in life as somebody else, but we all have something that we are genuinely happy is a part of our existence. And it starts there. I heard a lot of people say before that they think finding your purpose is what brings happiness. But I don't think that's necessarily true. And the reason why, as a matter of fact, I know it's not true. And the reason why I know for a fact that it's not true is because until I was about 34 or 35, I didn't really even know what the fuck my purpose was. I didn't know at all what I wanted to do when I grew up, or what I was going to be when I got older. And I was 35. I had a wife. I had a kid on the way. You know what I mean? Like, I was a fucking damn near a family man before I figured out what my purpose is in life. And yet I was still always happy. That's the reality. That's just the truth. The reason why I've always been happy in my life is because I was blessed enough to have parents that constantly reminded me to be grateful. That everyone didn't have it like I had it. That everyone didn't have all the blessings and all the love and the acceptance and the encouragement and the support that I got. And I'm not saying it to brag. I'm saying it because the reason why I was so happy is because I constantly was appreciative. And listen, I say this probably to an exhausting level for some of you, but it's because it's so true. And I don't want to see people. I hate seeing people wake up miserable. I hate seeing people depressed and bitter and angry and suicidal. I hate seeing it. I hate seeing people wake up every day and think that their life is so terrible that they have to turn to drugs to like basically wipe their mind out of existence and just feel a different way. It's like not them. And I'm not saying like I'm not trying to shit on people that are consuming. I'm not judging, okay? I'm not trying to shit on people that are taking drugs. I'm just saying I hate seeing people turn to that because I know how much of a destructive life it can lead to. And it doesn't for everyone. Listen, I know people that have smoked weed since they were like 13 years old, and that's all they've ever done. That's all they do, and they're in their 30s and their 40s. It doesn't mean that you're going to throw your life away. What it means is I'm tired of seeing people turn to serious, hardcore things that are going to basically put them in a different frame of mind so they don't have to deal with the reality that is their life. You know, I don't like seeing that. I don't like seeing people go to school. Listen, I know how valuable every single human being is. Whether you see it, whether anyone's told you enough, whether your parents are telling you, siblings, cousins, friends, coworkers, no matter what, every single human life is valuable. It matters. It means something. We all have a gift. We all have some kind of a unique story. And it's a waste to wake up every day and think that you're nothing, to think that your life sucks, to think that, you know, if somebody else tells you that you're ugly or you're stupid or that you suck or that you're never going to amount to anything and you're just a fuck up or something. I know that those words can hurt, but the reality is no matter who it is that's telling you that is either they're just trying to be an asshole, which in turn you should never listen to that, or B, that's just their opinion. Maybe they fully believe it. Maybe every ounce of their being is telling them that you are a worthless human being. That doesn't fucking matter, though. What their mind is telling them about you. What matters is how do you feel about you? What do you wake up? Do you feel like you have something to offer? It doesn't matter if anyone's told you that you do or not. It doesn't matter if everyone that you've ever met told you that you suck and you're worthless and that nothing in your life is ever going to matter. It doesn't matter if everybody you've met tells you that. It's not the fucking truth. And only you can decide how valuable you feel and that you have abilities. No matter who you are, no matter what you're capable of, no matter what your situation is, you have some form of talent. You have some form of an ability that most people don't have. We all have something. And the second you can understand that and appreciate that part of your life and stop listening to anybody else's opinion of you, you are going to be in so much better place mentally. It's sickening almost. And do you know what the most beautiful part about all of that is? Is that once you understand that you do have something to offer, regardless who sees it or not, when you have something to offer and you know that you have some form of a talent, some gift, something that makes you uniquely different than the people around you, it's wild how this works. It will then start to build your confidence within you. And the more confidence you start building, the less judgment you're going to listen to, the less opinions. People will be on social media trolling the shit out of you, and you'll laugh it off because you'll know that those opinions mean literally nothing at all. Those people don't know you. They don't know you fully. And when somebody that doesn't know you that well is talking shit, that says something about their character. That says something about how fucked up their life is, how upset they must be, how negative of a world they must live in. You have to be a very miserable person to go onto somebody's page, consume any of their content, whether it be a fucking meme, an Instagram post, Twitter, whatever, and then shit on that person for anything. Like, it's weird to, I don't know, it's weird to me because, listen, I didn't grow up having social media. That shit didn't come around until I was like in my early to mid 20s, and that was the beginning of it. Like, it wasn't a big thing. It took a decade, dude. Listen, I didn't give a shit about social media really until I was like 30. I'm 36 now. And that's just me. I mean, there was other people that were on there more. I used to dabble with Facebook back in like 2011 and 12 a lot, and now I don't ever use it. I only go on there basically just to check with family and you know, use it for, I guess, advertisement for the business. I'll put some stuff on there sometimes, but I don't go on there the way that everyone uses Facebook. I don't go on there and just blurt out my opinion or blurt out how I'm feeling at the minute, you know, like the fucking the Detroit Lions just lost in overtime. Now I'm going to go on Facebook and bitch about it. I don't do that. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't or that you should. I'm not saying it's wrong or it's right or anything like that. I feel like Facebook has become so flooded with just opinions and hate and judgment and attacks that they're all kind of like that, but I feel like Facebook is just worse. And now it's like you got a lot of older people on there, like grandparents and great-grandparents and shit, and it's turned into it's turned into chaos out there. It really has. It's turned into the Old West. People are just guns blazing all the time, you know. They're always angry and ready to shoot. So, I don't know. I don't use it very much, but I'm not knocking you if you do. If you use it all the time, that's cool. But it's just, back to what I was saying about the judgment and the confidence and stuff, like when you can ignore opinions and judgment, it will if your confidence is high, it allows you to ignore them. And if you can ignore them, it allows you to build confidence. It's a weird way how it works, but it's amazing. And it's so beautiful. And luckily for me, I had my mom and dad were very good about instilling confidence in me, but while also letting me know how the real world operated. You know, even when they bought me stuff like my parents were never like super wealthy. They had a decent amount of money. Like, we were never worried about being homeless or poor, like to not be able to eat or anything like that. But we weren't millionaires. You know, we were a very average middle class family. So I had some stuff, but I never was like my friends. I was spoiled amongst my friends, I guess. But like, you put me into a really nice school in a really nice neighborhood, I was probably the poorest. You know, it was like that. So that being said, though, I still had parents they fully let me understand. They taught me very well, I should say, about that. Listen, you have it very good. You're living in an amazing time with amazing technologies and in a household where you're not starving every day. And every now and again, they would buy me like relatively expensive items and kind of quote unquote spoil me. But I always understood that I wasn't entitled to it. It wasn't a demand. It wasn't a guarantee. It was, you have to do things to earn this. You have to get good grades. You have to be on good behavior. You have to be a decent human being if you want to enjoy any of this shit. And the second I would act up, the stuff was taken. So it was a very, it was very good preparation for what the real world is like, because they never pandered to me and made me feel like I was the most amazing kid out there. If I sucked, you know, my dad was very polite about it, but he would let me know, like, you need to be better. I remember, this is one of my favorites. I remember playing golf, and I hit I was just playing so bad. And I was getting so frustrated and mad with myself because my dad was always super good at golf, and I was just sucking it up out there. And I remember when I was at my lowest point of just anger and frustration and ready to just give up on the day, my dad said, you know what you should do? You know what I think will be real helpful? And I said, what? And he said, you should take 2 weeks off and then quit. And this is my fucking dad talking. He said, take 2 weeks off and then quit. He said that would be helpful for me. He didn't say it would be helpful with my golf game. He said it would be helpful for me. And I remember it was such a slap in the face, but like a funny comical one, like such a sarcastic just beat down, that I started laughing. And it eased up a lot of the hatred that I was just holding with me while I was playing, and I started playing way better. No, I ain't no pro tour player or nothing like that, but it certainly helped. But it's fun. Like, that's the kind of encouragement my dad would give me. He didn't say, you suck, you should never play. He never got too low on me, and he never got too high on me. He just knew that, hey, you're not that good, you need to be better, but I'm not going to just shit all over you and make you want to give up. I'm going to be encouraging about them. I'm going to be motivating about letting you know that you need to be better. And that was very helpful for me. And he also instilled a mental toughness unlike any, listen, I'm not trying to brag about it. I'm not saying that I'm the best of all time. Nothing like that. I have no fucking clue. But what I do know is this. I know that out of all the kids I knew when I was growing up, no one even close had the mental toughness that I did. Like, I could handle failure and rejection and judgment unlike anybody I knew at my age in high school. And like I said, I'm not saying that so you guys are like, oh, you're so awesome. I'm not saying it to brag. I'm saying because I'm trying to give you a hint at like how my parenting was. Why I'm as confident as I am, even with I'm not the most successful as far as money, as far as audience, as far as subscribers and followers, all that shit. I'm not the most successful when it comes to promotions in jobs or at work or anything like that. I feel extraordinarily successful when it comes to the mental aspect of life, though, because I've handled a lot of very awful things that I know it would ruin most people. But it's because of the parenting. I take zero pride in it. I take zero merit in it. I feel like my parents are the ones that instilled that in me. Like, I wouldn't be where I'm at if it wasn't for them. So like I said, I don't say it bragging. I say it to give them the most props possible, because they're the ones that taught me all of these amazing things. My dad taught me an extraordinary amount about logic and why it's so important. I think these are critical for everybody going forward. If there's one thing I could force people to do, it would be to use logic, to get better at, to look at everything with a logical lens. I wish that I could force that on people, only because I think it is so extremely beneficial to your life. Because if things aren't logical, and if you don't make sense of them, of anything, then you'll just believe anything. You'll believe any random thing that somebody tells you. If you don't do your own listen, one of the things that made me so tough mentally is that I challenged everything that I heard that didn't sound like it made sense. I challenged teachers. I've challenged my own parents. I've challenged, people I was dating. I've challenged best friends. I've challenged everybody if it didn't seem to make sense. And as a matter of fact, it's harmed me greatly in my job. And I want to get to this because this is important, I think, for everyone, for anybody that listens to this. I think I have used logic to the point where it has gotten me into arguments with my bosses and has cost me raises and promotions because of it. And now there's two things that I want to share about that. Only do that with your bosses if that job means something great to you and staying on your boss's good side means something great to you. If it doesn't, like it didn't for me, I don't care about how well perceived I am. I care about being historically right. And it doesn't, and I don't mean it in the sense of like, I always want to be right. It's not that. It's that for my own sake, I want to not be wrong a lot. You know, I don't think it's very beneficial to be wrong all the time in life. I think we all start out wrong. We all start out not knowing shit, and then we have to learn it. So technically we're all wrong until we learn what's right. But what I'm saying is like, I don't like that job. If something doesn't make sense, and if I know I'm being lied to or I'm being bullshitted by somebody who doesn't know something, I have zero qualms, zero problems with telling that person what is actually right or how I feel. And it doesn't mean you don't have to do it in an asshole way. You don't have to fight with them. You don't have to be a complete dick or be a know-it-all, be an egomaniac. You don't have to do none of that. Just share. If you hear something that you know doesn't sound right, listen, if at the end of the day, if somebody says something to you and it doesn't sound right and it doesn't matter, if it doesn't hurt anybody, if it doesn't affect anybody, then who really cares? You know, you don't want to start a fight for no reason. Pick your battles, you know, but at the same time, if you know that you're hearing something that doesn't make a whole lot of sense and it could possibly harm somebody in the future or make somebody stupid, you know, like when I hear somebody go on TV and they spout out, like for instance, politics is a perfect example. You hear some guy speak from the right, you hear some guy speak from the left. They both believe they're right. Only one of them can be. So if you don't do your own logical research, if you don't use common sense, if you don't use logic, if you don't go, hey, what this person said doesn't sound right, I should look into it. Yes, you should look into it. You absolutely should fucking look into it, regardless. Because it's never a good idea to go spew out information to people when you don't know for a fact that what you're saying is true. It's damaging to people. You know how many times when I was younger, I used to say, I'd hear somebody that I thought was a fucking expert say something, and then I'd be like, oh, yeah, this is how this went. And they'd be like, really? I thought it was like this. And I'm like, no. This guy said this. I heard this. And then I end up being wrong because I listened to some dipshit tell me something, and I didn't fact check it. Now, I don't do that, or I try not to. I try to never do that anymore. I'm sure something slips through the cracks. I'm sure I'm reciting something I heard in second grade that ended up not being true. And I might accidentally say it because I just thought for 30 fucking years that it's true, you know, but you should eliminate doing that as much as physically possible. And anytime you don't know what's real and what isn't, you should 100% take the time out of your life to learn it. I wish more people used logic. I wish more people cared about facts. I wish I could force people to understand that truth and facts and honesty and accuracy is incredibly important. But most people don't take the time. They just hear something. Everything's about speed. Everyone hears something and they go, cool, now I know it. Now I learned and I can move on and I can use this knowledge going forward. But if you're learning the wrong shit and you don't ever fact check yourself, it could harm you greatly going forward. Mentally, physically, who the hell knows? We don't know where it's going to lead us. It's like the butterfly effect. You hear one dumb thing and then you go recite it to 15 people and then those 15 people recite it to another 50. Now, you know, like we're heading down a really dark path. So I highly recommend don't do that, you know? But I don't know, man. I'm going to wrap this up, but I just wanted to give a few little examples of what I fully believe is great for people to comprehend, for people to understand, for people to use in your life going forward for your own personal growth. Listen, the last decade, from 2010 to 2020, I grew so dramatically compared to where I was. From where I was at 2010, not only mentally, but where I was like with my ideas in life, like what I wanted, who I was as a person, like in 2010, I had zero interest of getting married and having kids. Now I'm married and I have a child, a 1-year-old baby girl, and I love them both more than I could possibly lay out here in this podcast. But that 10 years ago, I had zero interest of any of that. 10 years ago, I had no thought of podcasting. I had no thought of, doing anything entrepreneurial with my life. When I was 25, 26 years old, I thought that working at Spiratex in that plastics company I was going to retire there, and I was going to work there till I was 55, 60 years old, and then retire and just live off my 401k, and that life was going to be just like plain and boring like that. And then life just happens. Things happen. Your ideas change. Your passion changes. You know, what you really want to accomplish with your life may change. The last decade for me was, if I could define it into one word, it would be growth. It was a decade of growth. But I will say this next decade, 2020 to 2030, that's going to be the decade of growth. That's going to be the decade, not of my growth. I mean, it's going to be the decade of my growth too, but it's going to be the decade of your growth. I promise you, if you work at it, if you genuinely take like a genuine concern towards your life and wanting to be better, wanting to enjoy your life, wanting to be happy, please take the time and energy and effort that it takes to better your life. Ignore other people's criticism. If you are worried about posting videos on social media or YouTube or TikTok or anything because you're worried about how your family's going to feel, you're worried about how your friends are going to feel, you're worried about how your coworkers are going to feel, you're worried about how anybody's going to feel, please get the fuck over that immediately, because you're going to have, listen, no matter what you put out, if you are a big like religious person and you want to talk about God, you're going to have atheists just shitting all over you. And if you're an atheist and you want to talk about how you don't believe in God, you're going to have Christians, you're going to have Jews, you're going to have every religious faction in the world that isn't an atheist also shitting on you or just trolling you. Some people, it's not everybody. But the point is, no matter what position you take, no matter what information you put out, no matter what video you decide to make, somebody is going to like it, somebody's going to hate it, somebody's going to let you know how much they like it, somebody's going to let you know how much they hate it. The bottom line is to ignore all of it. Do what you think is good or will make you happy. If you want to put out videos every day talking about what you had for breakfast, and everyone's shitting on it, but you love it, do that every day. Because at the end of the day, like I said earlier on in this episode, if you live to make everybody else happy, the only one that's going to be miserable is you. Do what makes you happy. But also, if there's one thing that I could say about this decade going forward for all of us, is please, 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 make sure that your intent is always in the right place. I cannot stress that enough. Your intent is what's going to matter. Everything that you put out there to the world, internet, social media, email, anything that you put that can be watched or listened to or tracked or observed, is going to be there probably forever. So keep that in the back of your head going forward. If you're 5 years old right now in 2020, just know that your whole life is going to be pretty much documented. So if you think that there is a chance that something you put out could be like damaging to if your intent is good, you have nothing to worry about, no matter what you do. Like, you can't go around murdering people and say that your intention was good. But you know what I mean? Like, if you put out content to try to help people or to try to do something positive for anybody, and your intent and your heart is in the right spot, then no matter what you say or do, you're going to be fine. You're going to be good. And I honestly believe good things are going to happen. If your intent is good, good things are going to happen, and you're going to be a happy person. But if your intent is in the wrong place, like say you want to start posting a bunch of videos and create a podcast or create a YouTube channel or start a new business because you just because you want to make money, you're going to lose. You're going to lose bad, and it's going to be very frustrating. It's going to be very hard to take. Because anytime that you put money before your own passion, your own happiness, your own loves, you're going to lose. Money isn't everything. Listen, if you bought a yacht today, a yacht and a mansion right now, today, you're going to be like, this is the greatest fucking day ever. This is the best day of my life. Look at this. I got a great yacht. I got a mansion. This is phenomenal. And you know what it's going to be in 10 years? A 10-year-old yacht and a 10-year-old mansion. And it's never going to be enough. Because when it comes to money, when it comes to buying... Listen, I know that if you're poor right now, or if you're middle class right now, much like myself, if you're saying to yourself, man, I'd love to have a 10-year-old yacht. Yes, you would. However, if you had a brand new yacht, and then you had it for 10 years, and now you have a 10-year-old yacht, that's not the same as you just now today, as a not so wealthy person, gaining a 10-year-old yacht. Listen, I would take a 10-year-old yacht right now. I'm not going to spend all that money on buying one. But if somebody said, look, dude, I got a yacht, it's 10 years old, I don't want it. I just want it off my hands. Will you take it? I'd be like, all right. You know what I mean? Like, I would do it. But the point is, I don't have a fucking yacht. Now, if I bought a brand new yacht today, in 10 years, damn it, I got a 10-year-old yacht, it's about your status. People always live for status. I don't give a fuck about my status. And that's what makes me unstoppable. Because whether you like what I'm saying or you hate what I'm saying, it doesn't change what I'm trying to accomplish. I'm trying to get truth out there, and I'm trying to better people's lives. I'm trying to help people to see that you're valuable, you're important, your existence is well worth having, and you should be happy every day. You should be appreciative that your parents decided to have sex at the second that they did, and that you were born when you were, that you have what you have, that you have parents at all, that you had family or friends or a job or a house or vehicles or food to eat. You should be fucking extraordinarily grateful for every bit of that, or any of it. If you have even one of those damn things, you should be grateful for every little tiny positive in your life. And if you're grateful and excited and appreciative that you have those things, you're not going to be miserable very long as you keep that in the fucking forefront of your mind. Keep your mind in the right area. Keep the right perspective. But this decade's going to be on fire. Because listen, I never thought about 1990 to 2000 or 2000 to 2010 or even 2000 to 2020. Until 2020 was approaching, I didn't think about none of that stuff. And now I realize that 2010 to 20 was a huge decade of growth for me. And now from 2020 to 30, my job is to make this the decade of growth for you. It is what it is. That is my primary goal, is every single person I talk to, I want to somehow make their life better. I want to empower any of you. Maybe you already have all of this confidence I'm talking about, all of this empowerment, all of this lack of judgment. Maybe you have, then you fucking nailed it. You're living the right way. If you're still miserable after having all of that, then you have to redefine what it is that you're doing every day of your life, what your hobby is, what do you love to do, and are you actually doing that? Because listen, if you love what you're doing every day, if you started a t-shirt company, or you're working a 9-to-5 job, but you love that fucking job, regardless where you're at, if you like what you're doing and you appreciate every positive in your life every day, then I know you're not fucking miserable. I know you're not. You might be going through a moment. Maybe you had a boyfriend or a girlfriend leave you. Maybe you recently just lost your job, but you didn't like it anyway. Maybe you loved the job and you lost it. All of these things are temporary moments of unhappiness. They don't define you. They don't define your life. Listen, the job that I've spent on January 3rd, I just hit 15 years at this place, at Spiratex, at this plastics company. And it's wild to me because I remember when I worked at the tanning salon, my uncle's tanning salon, for fucking 5 to 6 years, and I thought that was absolutely mind-blowing that I worked there that long. And now to be anywhere for 15 years and to know how much I've grown from day one to now, not just like mentally, but in life, with where I want to be, with what I want to do. Listen, I'm grateful that the job, anybody that knows me and knows this podcast knows that the job that I work at, the plastics company, is not exactly my passion, right? It's not exactly my favorite thing to do. I have many other things I'd rather be doing than to work there. However, it pays the bills. It takes care of me. I've been there for a very long time. I know all the people. I know what I'm doing there. I know what I'm getting myself into. I know what every day is like. I know that it's going to supply food. It put food on my plate and keep a roof over mine and my family's head and all that. And the 401k is fantastic. But that being said, if it wasn't for the job making me feel certain negative ways about it, I would have never changed my life the way I did. And I could not be more grateful for changing my life the way I did, because I fucking love what I'm doing now and where I'm headed. It's just a beginning, and I love it. You got to enjoy the journey. You got to enjoy the path. And listen, at 36, I'm just starting. That's amazing to know that 36 years has passed and I haven't even fucking done anything yet. Like, you know what I mean? I had 36 years of an intro, basically, or 34, because I kind of started the podcast 34, late 34, almost 35. Been doing it a year and a half-ish. But that being said, though, like, it's incredible to me of even your negative moments can take you to a special place of happiness. Because if it wasn't for the job being the way it is, I would have never been motivated to start my own podcast, to start my own brand, to start all of the things that I'm doing now and communicate with you guys, talk to you, be a part of your life, help other people. I would have been just another fucking plastics worker for 30 years and then retire and been like, all right, now what? Like, if there's anything that I can give you right today, it's don't take 15 years to realize what I just said. Like, do it now. If you're at a place that you don't like, change your life starting today. It's 2020. Take this next decade. I don't care if you're 10, 20, 40, 90. Take this next decade to build. If you start today, imagine what will happen if you start today. By the time 2030 hits, dude, who knows where your life is going to be and how great things are. But you got to start, and you got to stay consistent. You can't drop one or two bricks and then say, well, this building's done. No, it takes brick after brick after brick, day after day, until finally you have yourself an empire. You got to keep going, though. The pyramids weren't built in one generation. Like the guy who decided to start building the pyramids never saw them completed. It took that long. You know what I mean? Like King David wanted the temple built. Wasn't built in his lifetime. It was built in his son's lifetime, Solomon. That's why it's still over there to this day in Israel. It's Solomon's temple, baby. It ain't David's. David's the one that wanted it done, though. So even if you have to spend the rest of your life creating something for somebody important and close to you that you care about, it's brick by brick, baby. Brick by brick every single day. And eventually you'll have something just crazy and awesome, and it'll be just it'll be the best decision you ever made, I can tell you that. But while you're doing this, you have to ignore the opinions and judgment of other fucking people. Because trust me, the majority of them are not going to be supportive. The majority of them are going to be like, oh yeah, you've never done. Especially if you're older. Like, listen, if you're young, nobody knows what your potential is. I mean, people think that you have a lot of potential when you're young. Everyone does. Everyone has potential when they're young. But what ends up happening is the older you get, the more you establish yourself as a certain type of person and a certain with certain capabilities. And then when you all of a sudden change that out of nowhere, people are like, no, there's no way he's going to do that. There's no way she's going to accomplish this. She's never done anything like that. She'll never do it now. They're almost pissed off that you have the audacity to try and change your life. But you got to, because it's yours. It's your life. It ain't theirs. If they don't like it, tell them don't fucking subscribe. It's the way I look at it, dude. If your friends don't want to be supportive, or if they don't want to help you or be supportive of your journey or your career change or your life change, tell them don't subscribe then. And I don't mean just to YouTube. I mean, don't subscribe to my life. You don't have to talk to me. You don't have to like me. You don't have to be supportive. You don't have to do anything. But I'm doing this, whether you like it or not. If you don't like it, just please stay out of my way and let me accomplish great things. And I promise you that once you do accomplish those things, regardless how much they're not supportive now, they're going to love you and talk about you like, I've been friends with them for so long now. They're going to talk about you like you're your best friends once your life has moved on. You know how many people probably went to school with Eminem, just shit all over him when he was up and coming trying to be a rapper, and then now that he's huge, all those people from high school are like, yeah, dude, that's my dog, man. I hung out with him in high school. That's my boy. Like, no, you hated him and thought he was a joke and thought he'd never make it. Now that he's made it, now you want to just ride the coattails. You just want to hang out now. Now you want to be buddy-buddy and say, oh, remember me? I challenge you, be the supportive type even when you think your friend has nothing to offer. Stop judging. Just encourage them. If they really want to change their life and they think it's going to make them happy, your job as a friend or as just a decent human fucking being is to be supportive and stop the judgment, because you don't know what anybody's capable of. None of us know what any of us are capable of until we go out there and do it and show you. Only you know what you're capable of. If anything, you should learn to love it when people shit on you and when they think you can't have it, they think you don't have it. If they think that you don't have what it takes and they think you're never going to make it, dude, that's the best. When you can prove them wrong, that used to be one of my fucking favorites. Matter of fact, I'm sure some of you think I'm cocky anyway, so I'm going to tell you a story that just kind of confirms it. Is that, when I was younger, I remember I was so excited about proving people wrong, because people always told me, you can't do this, you ain't going to do this, you're not good enough, you can't do that. I was so excited to hear that from my friends that I constantly, I fed off of that. Every time somebody would tell me I couldn't do something, I would go out of my way to make it happen just to prove them wrong. And it got so much to the point where those two friends I was talking about earlier in this episode, the two friends that I said I eventually had to leave, and kind of go my own way because we weren't going the right direction. Those two friends got to the point where they knew that if I wanted to do something and somebody told me that I couldn't do it, they knew I was going to do it. To the point where they started telling other people for me. And it was such a great feeling, because it was like I established myself as a person that, look, you ain't going to tell me I can't do something. I'll show you I'll do it. I got it. Because it's exciting. When people count you out and you perform big, there is no feeling like that. So if anything, learn to love it when people are telling you you're never going to accomplish this, or you don't have a shot, there's no way you're going to do it. Learn to love that shit. Feed off of that. Make that your fuel, your food, and feast off of that shit. It's so good. It tastes so good going down. It really does. Drink it in. It always goes down smooth. So with that being said, guys, listen, on a more serious note though, for real, I want this desperately to be the decade of growth for all of us. I'm not done growing. I'm only 36. To think that I'm done growing would be ridiculous. Same with you. I don't care how old. I don't care if you're 90. You're not done growing. Until they're putting your casket in the ground or giving your family an urn of ashes, you're not done. So take every day, every opportunity, every event, every moment as a learning experience. If you just remember, one of my favorite things ever is you don't win, you win, you don't lose. When there's W's and L's, it's not wins and losses, it's wins and lessons. You never really lose, you learn, unless you give up. When you give up, that's when you lose. But if you, quote unquote, fail this time, use the lesson. Learn desperately what made you fail. Why did you fail? Why was somebody better? What exactly caused you to fail? Because if we take a step back and just honestly look at what it is that made us fail, you'll see what it is that caused it, and then learn what to do to fix it. It's so important, guys. But this is the decade of growth for all of us, especially you. I want to be as much involved and as helpful as I possibly can, so please allow me to do that. I'm going to try my ass off, guys. I love you so much, and I thank you for listening. Listen, if you want to get a hold of me, you can leave a voice message through the Anchor app. You can find me on LinkedIn on LinkedIn. Man, I got so many different fucking socials with so many tag names, it's getting confusing. So here we go. If you want to find me on Instagram, it's Really Rich Podcast. If you want to find me on Twitter, it's Really Rich Adam. If you want to find me on Snapchat or YouTube, it's Really Rich. If you want to find me on LinkedIn, it's Adam Rich. You'll see I'm the founder and host of Really Rich Podcast. And last but surely not least, you can find me on TikTok now. The tag name, It's Adam Rich. At It's Adam Rich. No apostrophes, nothing like that. Just ITS Adam Rich. And please get a hold of me. Find me on there. So, I'm not even just begging you to subscribe. I'm saying comment, man. Give me, let's talk. DM me on any of these platforms. Wherever you're listening, whatever you like to do as far as socials that you like to use, please find me on there. Please DM me. Let's talk. If you have an issue, a problem that you're dealing with, no matter what it is, please let me hear it. I fully believe I can help you. I believe that with every ounce of my soul. I'm super confident in that. I'm not trying to be an arrogant asshole or nothing like that. I feel like if you give me enough information about who you are and what you're going through, I promise you I can help. So I love you guys, and I thank you so much for listening, and I'll talk to you soon, all right? Peace! I'm out of here. And P.S., 2020 to 2030, baby, that's for all of us. Peace, I'm out of here. I'll see you guys. Bye-bye.